her young son was diagnosed with autism, one mother made the bold choice to uproot her life, leaving home and moving to the United States in search of better support. She not only found the help her son needed, but leveled up in her own life, earning a master's degree, and now she's turning her journey into purpose. Donnel Major is joining us now to share her story with us. Welcome to What's Trending.
Thank you for having me.
It's so great to have you here with us. So take us back to the beginning. When did you first notice signs that your son may be on the autism spectrum?
It would have been around age 2 or 2.5. We noticed that he had some repetitive behaviors, lining up blocks, lining up cars, lining up everything that he could get his hands on. He had a thing for numbers, so he would sometimes take bananas or fruits and create numbers with them. And he initially had problem behaviors, some aggression, and he was also nonverbal. And that in itself is complicated because while he was nonverbal, he had hyperlexia, meaning that he could read at a very young age, 17 months. So he just didn't have that spontaneous speech to be able to say, Mama, Dad, I'm hungry, my stomach hurts, whatever have you. But if you gave him a book and you kind of snuck behind the closet, you would hear him reading. And yeah, there were other signs as well.
Well, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced in trying to access support here at home, whether through healthcare, the school systems, or even the community?
So initially, after we got his diagnosis, the challenge was getting therapy, applied behavior analysis, speech, and occupational. Not only was it extremely expensive, but there were not many individuals, professionals that we had access to. And it's still kind of the same situation even today. Additionally, schools, there were not very many that would accommodate children on the spectrum at that time. And so he would remain home for some time before we could access schooling.
So what ultimately led to your decision to move to the United States? Because that must have been a leap, talking about emotionally, financially,
yes.
And just in every way you could imagine.
It was a whole lot. What happened was he was in school for a time and he accessed some therapy, but it was extremely expensive. And after we had exhausted our savings, our life savings, we realized that we were out of options. And I had began researching options outside of the Bahamas and the US. In particular, New Jersey was one of those places that came up, and I began delving into options there for him, and that's how the journey started.
And in all that, you pursued your passion, deciding to get a master's degree. How did that all come together?
So I'm a trained teacher. I'd been teaching for, at that time, 15 years with the Ministry of Education, 13 to 15 years at that time. And well, when I realized that my son had special needs, it just made sense that that was something that I needed to pursue in order to help him and not kind of leave it up to professionals. And so I did my research into other options. So special education was the introduction to it, and then I ended up applying for a program where it would allow me to become a board-certified behavior analyst. So I would be able to implement ABA therapy and help not only my son, but other children.
Yes, that was just going to be my next question.
Yes.
Seeing that you got that certification, just, give persons an idea of what that meant, but I'm glad you provided that clarification.
Yes.
So that's definitely a leap and a step in the right direction.
Yes.
But based on what you've seen both here at home and in the United States, do you think children with special needs are getting the care that they need?
Here in the Bahamas, we have a ways to go. It's been my experience And what we're finding now is that more and more children are being diagnosed with autism. And we're kind of seeing that the supports are not sufficient, and therefore parents are having challenges accessing the supports that their children need. And so professionally, we have 5 board-certified behavior analysts in the entire country, all of them in New Providence. And can you imagine, the wait lists, trying to get, on those wait lists and access much-needed therapy for your children or your child? That's posing a problem. That's what I'm observing. Additionally, the school systems, a lot of times parents feel that if they enroll their children in school, some of these challenges or behaviors that they're seeing can be addressed there, not realizing that it takes specialized supports.
So what do you think then are still some of the misconceptions that exist as it relates to autism?
I think a lot of people think that they are incapable of doing things that typically developing children can do, academics-wise, extracurricular activities, and that's a misconception. They are definitely highly intelligent children, a lot of them. It just depends on where they fall on the spectrum.
Now, you say your son is 11 now. How critical is that early diagnosis and individualized support when it comes to dealing with a child on the spectrum?
That's an excellent question. And so when you get a diagnosis, as a female, many women dream about having their kids, and they already have it planned out. They're going to go to this school, this university, they're going to do this and that and the other. And when you get a diagnosis, all of that changes, right? And you go through a grieving process that's probably about 6 to 10 steps. I went from 1. I went through the first process, and then I went to 6 or 10, whatever the last one was. I didn't have time to properly grieve. I'm the type of person, I cried, and then I was like, Lord, what do I need to do? Tell me what to do to get my son help. You didn't give me him just for this. And so we got the diagnosis and immediately enrolled him in therapy here. And after that didn't pan out, I relocated with him to the U.S., where he was able to access speech and occupational therapy in the school. And then we outsourced applied behavior analysis, ABA, for him. That was critical, because when we left, he had food aversions. He would only eat fries from Wendy's.
Oh, that was very specific.
Very specific. One of his pediatricians always said he has a refined palate. And within months of being there, he started eating things like celery sticks and peanut butter.
And you were like, huh?
Bell peppers. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
And then he started phrases, more words were coming out. And it was just in a matter of months, a difference.
So then what would you say to parents who may be feeling overwhelmed on this journey and who may just be starting out? What do you say to them?
It is a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon, and it's not easy. You're going to cry a lot. You're going to be confused. You're going to go through a myriad of emotions. But at the end of the day, you must remember the most important thing for you to do is to fight. Not to give up. There are supports out there that you can access, and what's important is the intensity and the intensity of the early intervention. You're not waiting until the child is 5 or 6 and they're beating you up in the home, or you're experiencing severe challenging behaviors that you cannot control. You want to, take note of the developmental milestones that the child may be missing. And if they're missing them, you want to, start looking into how you can curb those and deal with them ahead of time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Donnel, for sharing your powerful story with us today.
I appreciate it.
And definitely all the best in the future.
Thank you so much.
Well, from determination to this mother's journey is a powerful reminder that advocacy begins at home, and sometimes it grows into something so much bigger. Coming up, Kodak invented the digital camera, so how did it fall so far behind? A closer look at the iconic brand's battle to survive. Stay with us.